Hello everyone and welcome to Total Quilter Monthly for May of 2019. My name is Mark Garetz and I'm a National Floriani educator, and this month I'm excited to tell you all about a brand new book from Floriani, and it's all about Appli quilting. So let's get into it. So this book is called Total Quilter Appli Quilt Blocks, Projects, Techniques, and Blocks. And it's a comprehensive look at in-the-hoop Appli quilt block creation with step-by-step guides to take you through the entire process from designing the blocks all the way to quilt assembly. And it's very, very detailed, as you're going to see as we go through this. It's 149 pages, and who is it for? It's for everyone who wants to make quilts using Appli quilt blocks. And maybe even if you never thought about it before, maybe this book is for you too. It's also a great tutorial on paper for those of you that don't like to learn so much from videos, but it's available from your local Floriani dealer, and if they don't have it, be sure to ask them to order it. So the first part of the book starts with the basics, which are what are Appli quilt blocks. It covers both the standard Appli quilt block, faux piecing blocks, and applique blocks, and it covers them in great detail with lots of pictures and illustrations. So next the book gets into quilt assembly techniques that you can do when you create a block in the hoop. It covers the quilt it later technique, which is pretty traditional, where you're going to seam your blocks together and then you're going to quilt it with the batting and the backing fabric after you're done assembling the blocks in the hoop. There's also the quilt as you go technique, where you create the quilt block with the top, the backing, and the batting all together in the hoop, and then you put it together later. Now the book says that you must use sashing when you do this, then later it says that you can use sashing, and as you know from our February 2019 Total Quilter Monthly, you know that we covered a technique on how to do this without sashing, so you might refer back to that. Next, the book goes into the 8 different steps that you would use to start your quilt and finish it, starting with step 1, where you determine your construction method, and that's determining whether you're going to use a quilt it later technique or a quilt as you go technique. And this section discusses how the quilts go together using both of these techniques. Step 2 is where you would determine what block style you want to use. So again, this would be either the standard Appli quilt block, a faux piecing block, or an applique block. Step 3 is where you would actually create the quilt block in the software by selecting a block and then decorating it. And this is kind of a quick overview of how to do that using one example, but later on the book, as you'll see, there's really detailed instructions on how to do this. Step 4 is where you would export the block for production. There's 3 different ways to export it depending on which type of block you've created, and the book covers all of these options in step 4. Step 5 covers where you would cut your block pieces to begin the assembly in the hoop. It shows you how to prep the fabric, and it covers the options of either cutting manually or cutting with a digital cutter such as a scan and cut. Step 6 actually covers stitching out and creating the block in the hoop, and it covers how you would do that for both quilt it later and quilt as you go final construction techniques. Step 7 actually covers how you would construct the quilt. And for quilt it later techniques, you have 2 different options. One would be to do it with sashing and one without sashing. And then the quilt as you go technique in this book covers how to do it with sashing. Again, I want to remind you that there's ways to do it without sashing. Again, if you refer back to our February 2019 Total Quilter Monthly, you'll see one of those techniques. But this is very, very detailed, tons of pictures, tons of instruction, so it leaves nothing unsaid. And finally, step 8 shows you one of the many ways that you could add binding to the quilt, including in this section how to even create your own binding from scratch. And those are the 8 steps that you need to complete a quilt from start to finish, and we really do mean all the way to finish here. So it's a really, really detailed. You're really going to like it. And that's not all. The next session is a lesson on how to create a block, and it is very detailed, step-by-step block creation for all the different types of blocks and how to export them, all the various options. Everything is explained, and it is super detailed. But wait, there's even more. You get some free quilt block designs along with this book. They're all pictured in the book. They're available to download and add into Total Quilter. You can get them at www.florianisoftware.com/tq-free-blocks. Make sure you take note of the capitalization here. So you can download those quilt block designs and add them into Total Quilter. But wait, there's even more. Now there's also some frame block designs that you can download at the same address. These frame blocks are blocks designed to not have anything in the center, so they create like a frame where you can put an embroidery design in the middle of the block. And you can kind of see that in the picture here of the very first frame block design. Again, they're at the same place as the other free blocks. So that's it for Total Quilter Monthly for May 2019. I want to thank everybody for watching and remind you that the name of this book is called Total Quilter Appli Quilt Blocks. It's available now from your local Floriani dealer. It has a suggested list price of just $99. And if they don't have it, remember that they can always order it for you. And I want to invite you again to come back next month for Total Quilter Monthly.